everybody, and welcome to the Theatre Pitch podcast. I'm Jem, this is Sean.
Hello.
And this is Joe.
Hiya. Nice to see you all again. How have you been since 2 weeks ago?
I've missed you so much.
Sorry, I was talking to the audience, not to you, Sean.
Oh,
But Sean, how have you been?
fine.
Fair enough.
Not gonna ask me.
No?
No.
Oh, alright. Sean, how have you been in the last week?
I don't know. now I'm having to think about it. I have no idea. What happened? I'm good. Yeah, I started playing FIFA. I got Warsaw into the championship. I feel productive.
I love that this is our future as well as our present. But okay, so
It's not Warsaw or nowhere near the championship.
we can only dream. But what we are doing is this is the Theatre Pitch podcast where each three of us come up with a pitch for a random online encyclopedia article, and we pitch it together, and at the end of the podcast we'll smush those ideas together and hopefully come up with a better idea than the three of ours, rather than just something that makes no sense. So this week's article is entitled Mr. Bubble. Joe, in your best Mr. Bubble voice.
Do you want me to really do my best Mr. Bubble voice?
Oh, now I've said it, definitely.
Okay. Mr. Bubble is a brand of bubble bath products made by the Village Company. The brand is the #1 brand of bath products in the United States according to AC Nielsen data. Invented in 1961 by Harold Schaefer and the Gold Seal Company of North Dakota, USA. In 1986, when it was sold to Airwick Companies, it became a division of Reckitt and Curlman.
Brilliant. I love how your Mr. Bubble voice seems to be the voice that every cartoon company in the 90s gave a German.
Well, actually, I was going for kind of a for a Lollipop Guild vibe.
Like it.
I felt like Mr. Bubble had a real Lollipop Guild vibe to me.
Yeah, I like it. How did we find this week's article?
Yeah, pretty good.
It was enjoyable. It was different. It was nice. It was nice to have like a thing. You know, when you got like, oh, I've got a thing instead of like a concept or instead of It was nice having like a physical. Look, it's a person.
Considering last podcast, it was literally nothing. It was nice to have something this week. So fantastic. Who wants to go first?
You know what?
You want to go first?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I like my idea.
I thought you were about to say, I like going first.
I do also like going
I'm
first.
Jem Ralston. I shall go first.
Ooh. I hated every time in school when somebody would be like, or one of the teachers would be like, who wants to go first? And it's that dead silence. There's nothing worse to me. My hell is that silence.
No, Gemma. No. That you cannot use this podcast to change the past. Okay, you tried it last week, right? We know that when you was at school, that silence didn't appear. What it was the teacher would be like, who wants to go first? And you would put your hand up and the sound would be like everyone else in the class going, ugh.
I don't know if I can.
Wait, is it canon to our law now that Jem is officially the kid who the teacher would say, anyone but Jem?
Yes.
That legit happened to me.
I have sat in that seminar.
You have as well.
She tries to like make out, I'm a cool person. No, I know the truth.
So my pitch is really relevant to this kind of conversation.
I will say one in Gemma's defence. She wasn't the worst person in that seminar.
If you want to find out who the worst person in that seminar was, subscribe to our Patreon.
Yes, do that.
It was close, but she definitely weren't the worst.
No, I wasn't. Okay, so my pitch for Mr. Bubble and
Oh yeah, we're doing
Prince
this.
Sonny Pardon?
Yeah, we're doing. I'm with you now. We got this.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Gemma.
That's all right. Apology accepted, Sean. After all of these years. Okay, so my pitch for Mr. Bubble is it's the story. It's a play that I feel is more interesting as a fringe piece of theatre, so you can have a little bit more of a loose play around with not audience interaction, but being able to speak to the audience and be in the same space and place as an audience. But it's a play about Harold Schaefer and how he came up with this idea of Mr. Bubble. So we join him as he is the head of the Gold Seal Company, because I did do a little bit more research, but he's the head of the Gold Seal Company. They're looking for their next product, nothing's failed, and that's where we come in. And that's when Harold Schaefer, as he sits burning the midnight oil in his office, suddenly his childhood imaginary friend, Mr. Bubble, comes and joins him and gives him the idea of bubble baths. So we learn that Mr. Schaefer had this childhood friend called Mr. Bubble. And Mr. Bubble really just wants to create some havoc and create some bubbles, and there's lots and lots of blowing bubbles and various different things. And I think Mr. Bubbles definitely interacts with the audience, which would be really funny if Harold Schaefer's character was not aware that there was an audience, but Mr. Bubbles was really aware that this was a stage play of the life of Mr. Bubbles and Harold Schaefer. But it's this idea that he then comes up with this idea of bubble bath, and he doesn't think it'll work, but he says it flippantly to his board, and they kind of go, oh, well, we'll do it anyway. And they do, and it takes off, and it becomes the most popular bubble bath product in America. I'm not too sure, because the Wikipedia article goes a lot into how the company and the brand was passed on and bought out, which for me just started to make the whole idea of the imaginary friend really sad, because I felt like long after Harold Schaefer had passed us, Mr. Bubbles, the imaginary friend, was still around, just being passed around like a lost dog, and that just made me really sad. So it's mainly just an origin story that's very kind of drop-dead Fred about Mr. Bubbles and how he helps create the bubble bath, but Mr. Bubbles has actually got a load of other products as well, and that kind of story. So yeah, that was my theatre pitch. Very simple.
Yeah, man. You should have led with it's a drop dead Fred, but with bubble bath.
Yeah, and every audience member gets a little tub of bubbles to blow bubbles. And so we can have lots of fun with Mr. Bubbles conspiring with the audience members against Harold Schaefer.
That'd get really messy though. If you know when you do the little ones, and then at the end you get all on your hands, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah, but it's washing out liquid, and we live in a time of pandemic, so it'll clean off all the germs.
Well, if we're still living in that time of pandemic, we can't do your show.
I mean, especially as, let's face it, if it's all about blowing bubbles, that is a lot of transmission of spit.
That's that's a good point. Okay, well,
get a bubble machine.
We should be keeping hygiene up, pandemic or not.
Yeah. But this podcast exists in a fantasy universe where theatre comes back one day.
Not a fantasy universe. No, it will come back. Oh, don't confront me with that kind of anxiety, Joe.
Don't forget, guys. Don't forget. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. Bubbles. Happy birthday to you. And that's how you keep your hands clean. It is happy birthday, isn't it? Otherwise, that whole 30 seconds was really weird.
Yeah, no, it is.
It is normally happy birthday, but I feel like for the meter they're actually going for, you actually did it a little quick. You probably will have... Oh, wait, no, it's normally happy birthday twice. To which I still
Oh.
feel like, why couldn't they think of a song that lasts 20 seconds?
Lots of people have done that, but
What about-
anyway.
Yeah.
What about 21 seconds to go? I mean, I know it's an extra second, but, you know.
That extra second's not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like that the idea that my version of Mr. Bubble can have a kids version as well as an adult version. So
That's where the
the
money
kids
is. That's where the
version-
money is on the fringe.
There you
Double
go.
shows.
Double shows out of one idea. So Mr. Bubbles the Kids Show is very interactive with the kids and teaching them about Rubber Dub Dub and, you know, various different things like that. But then the adult show is Rubber Dub Dub in a different kind of way.
And of
Not
course,
that kind of way.
you can call the kids version Mr. Bubbles Clean Edition.
Oh my goodness. Pun approved. Yes, yes, definitely.
Well done.
Well done,
Well
Joe.
done. You went really small with it.
I did.
Okay, like, I've gone big.
Usually I
Sean,
also just speak a lot.
Yeah. As Sean, you've gone big. Do you want to wait till the end so that mine isn't a crushing anticlimax?
Have you
Yeah.
gone medium, Joe? Is that what it is?
I'm still in the process of going.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna make like Goldilocks, and we're gonna go from the small little idea of a drop dead Fred, Mr. Bubbles, and we're gonna go to the unknown of Joe. What is your ideal, Joe?
So
That's not how Goldilocks happens. She goes to the
No,
medium
but
bit of porridge. Just like,
Yeah, she goes. To
She
be
knows
fair,
where
she
she's
goes
going.
too small. She goes too big. Then she
Yikes.
could go just right. So really, what I have to do is do something incredibly audacious so that Sean can hit the sweet spot.
There you go, challenge.
So my problem with this article was I'd approached it this week thinking, okay, I'm actually going to for once adapt the article. And then the article gave me nothing to adapt. I want to read out in word for word the history section on this. Mr. Bubble was invented by Harold Schaefer and the Gold Seal Company in North
this
Dakota,
has to happen in Mr.
USA.
Bubbles' voice. Has to happen in Mr. Bubbles' voice.
Sorry, no, it's happening in my flat, this is the description because it's the tone voice.
Okay, alright.
Mr. Bubble was invented by Harold Schaefer and the Gold Seal Company in North Dakota, USA in 1961. Gold Seal manufactured and distributed Mr. Bubble and Snowy Bleach, a non-chlorinated laundry additive, until 1986 when it was sold to Airwick Industries, which was a division of Reckitt and Coleman. R&C sold the brand to J.W. Child Associates as part of the personal care group. Playtex Inc. acquired the personal care group in 1997. Essendia Brands Inc. purchased Mr. Bubble in 2005 and Playtex products. In 2008, Essendia Brands Inc. filed for bankruptcy. The Village Company acquired Mr. Bubble brand during the Essendia bankruptcy. Essentially, if you hadn't worked out, it's a series of business deals. Business deals aren't that interesting, so instead, I want to kind of bridge from other things and take it in the spirit of basically me doing something that interests me more, which is, are both of you aware of the play Our American Cousin?
No.
Our American Cousin it's a 3-act English comedy about a kind of stiff upper-lipped family who have their way of life thrown apart after their boorish, awkward but honest American cousin comes to visit. And it's all about a comedy of manners thing. It's about just, this wild
I've
American.
worked on several different versions of this storyline.
Yeah. It's also important to note, if you think, have I heard of this play? Yes, it's the play Abraham Lincoln was watching when he got assassinated. But my idea is Mr. Bubble is the boorish American cousin of Roger Hargraves' Mr. Men. End of pitch. That's it. Mr.
continue.
Tickle, Mr. Perfect, the rest of the gang that I can't remember. I feel ashamed that I can't remember a single
Mr.
little
Bump,
miss.
Little Miss Sunshine.
Yeah, they're all there in their happy little Mr. Men and Little Miss Village. And then in comes Mr. Bubble with all his big American energy, trying to clean everything. And they're like, oh, he's so awkward. But at the same time, he teaches them some things about life. because he's not got that same restraint of the rest of them.
I love it, and I love the fact that the picture that's on the article looks like it's the cover of a Mr. Men book as well.
Well, it actually looks like it's the cover of an off-brand Mr. Men book.
A Poundland Mr. Men book.
Yeah.
It's one of the Mr. Men books you get in, the middle aisle of Aldi.
Basically, yeah, he's like the he's the Mega Blocks of Mr. Men.
Oh, I feel like it's a weird metaphor for somebody who's really anti-American. It's like, oh yeah, they came from the UK, so... Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
so...
and if you're wondering, yes, during Act 3, Scene 1, we do have a gunshot go off and someone shouts Sic Semper Tyrannis from off stage, and it's never addressed why.
I like that. So is this a kid's show, or is it an adult show, or...
Yep.
I hesitate
it's one of them.
to suggest it's an adult show. It's one of them. Pick one.
It's... You know what? It's not an adult show in the sense that it's kind of going for like that Pixar spot, where it's like kids can watch it, but adults can get something out of it.
Yes. Okay, I like it. And is it, I was about to say Broadway, is it West End? Is it Fringe? Is it touring?
It takes place specifically at the Litchfield Garrick Theatre.
Okay.
Very specifically, only there.
Fair enough.
It will not tour.
Just because...
Because we will get sued before it tours.
Alright. Any other questions, Sean, for Mr. Bubbles meets
No,
Mr. Men?
I think it's perfect. I don't want to touch it.
I think it's brilliant.
Don't
pick. Touch it.
Don't touch perfection.
Yeah. Don't fix anything that ain't broke. Alright.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Moving swiftly on, Sean.
Hello.
Come on,
Hello.
Sean.
Hello.
Take us home. You got this.
Okay.
Take us home.
Right.
Knock it out of the park.
So, did you know that Mr. Bubble is from North Dakota?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, we knew that.
Yep. So that's... You know who else is from North Dakota?
Uh-oh.
The fictional character, Gatsby.
He was.
Yes. So you know how the Lion King is Hamlet?
Uh-huh.
Yep. So I want to do a version of The Great Gatsby, but with Mr. Bubble and his alter ego superhero, the Mighty Bubble. Yep. Yep. And the antagonist is going
Sean, you
to
don't
be...
even need to pitch any further. I am sold.
No, it gets bigger.
Take my money.
The antagonist is a Dirty Bert. Yep. This is all canon in the Mr. Bubble universe. Okay. So yeah, it's a kids parody of The Great Gatsby. The gold seal is gonna be like the MacGuffin of the show. Yep. So it's in North Dakota. I kept with that theme, and I'm like, I wanna do it in North Dakota. But then I was also thinking, bubbles. What's cool about bubbles? They're bubbles.
Everything.
They're just bubbles. They're cool. So I was thinking, do you ever go to them like phone parties?
Yeah. Once.
So I was thinking phone parties. I was like, yeah, that could be the thing. But then I was like thinking even bigger. What's bigger than phone parties? Phone parties in swimming baths. Okay. So
Okay.
Is this a thing you've invented, or
this isn't something I haven't invented swimming baths. So in North Dakota, there is the Hubert Aquatic Centre that has that's used for swimming meets and diving. So it's got an audience capacity of 1,100. And the audience, you've seen the Olympics, when they're doing the swimming, they're on either side. So it's that story, but told through artistic swimming in foams and bubbles using the diving boards. We've got a big audience capacity.
Okay.
There you go. And there's going to be some musical movements in there. So we're going to have some musical stuff. We can only be using the music of Lady Gaga. Does anybody want to know why?
Does she have an album called Bubbles or something?
No.
Is she from North Dakota?
No, it's weirder than that. In the film, A Star Is Born, Mr. Bubble makes a cameo. The bottle. And apparently Lady Gaga stole that bottle and was like a souvenir from the set. So that's why we're using her music. So that's my thing. It is artistic swimming, diving, doing acrobats with the music, retelling of The Great Gatsby with Mr. Bubble.
Of Lady Gaga.
The music
Can I
of
just,
Lady Gaga.
One side note or a quick question, Sean.
Yep.
How come you haven't added this fact to the appearances in popular media section of Mr. Bubble's online encyclopedia page?
I think it's new. Well, it only came out like 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, it's
I
up to
found
you
this all
to
out.
edit this to add it in.
Well, if you went all the way down to like the references, there was actually a link that it was like the timeline of Mr. Bubble, and
my goodness!
it just gives you like all of his stuff, and apparently he made a cameo in not the Great Gatsby, the Big Lebowski as well.
Yeah, he did.
But I didn't want to put bowling in this because you can't really do that in water.
No.
So that's it. Yeah. So I've gone big, and I even found a place where I could do it with a large audience that was still in the theme. North Dakota. By the way, another thing while I was doing this research, because if you want to find like a swimming baths in North Dakota, you have to literally get onto Google Maps.
Did you go searching?
Yeah. There are a lot of straight roads in America, like straight up, just like from one side to another. I was like, is that one road? Is that one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
That would be so boring to drive, just sort of like...
It's why everything's automatic. And why people paint their toenails whilst driving. Because there's very little to go wrong.
By the way, thought I'd just say, while because you mentioned North Dakota, I did do one bit of preparation for this episode, which was in preparation. I'd thought, there's half a chance with mine that kind of when I had this loose outline just now, where I thought to myself, can I think if there've been any presidents born in North Dakota? And the answer is no, there are none.
Oh, that would have been really good for yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to try and weave it in, but fun fact, it's one of the 29 states that hasn't had a president born in it.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's been more presidents born in Virginia than there have in 29 of the states.
Though, isn't Harold Schaefer's son a politician now?
Well, that's a good question.
Harold Schaefer, I clicked on Harold Schaefer because I was like, I recognise that surname. And then clicked on his son, who's like
Seymour.
Ed Schaefer, who I think is a politician or something like that.
Yeah, Ed Schaefer was was Secretary of Agriculture under George Bush.
There you go. There's your presidency link.
So in my play, I'm now going to add in, if we can get Ed Schaefer to agree to it, we're going to fake his assassination every night for kids.
Brilliant. Okay, right, so we have a Drop Dead Fred, but with Bubbles and Mr. Bubbles.
I think that's how you should pitch it.
Yeah. We have got our Mr. Bubbles destroys the world of the Mr. Men in an Our American Cousin spoof at the Litchfield Garrick Theatre. Couldn't read my own writing then.
You see, Gemma, we thought of real places. You were just like the Fringe. Like, oh, it could be anywhere. We done the research. We found the buildings.
Yeah.
We were like, we can have people in there.
See, this is purely my producer brain being like, just put it so it can go anywhere, so that we can have a chance of it ever being shown.
Whereas I'm also just thinking, we don't want it to be a West End thing. We're trying to reduce the London centricity of theatre. We've got to promote regional theatres more.
Exactly. This guy's from Sheffield. They done.
Ish.
Everyone's talking about Jamie.
Yeah,
In their
exactly.
place.
I love
We
the
got
fact that
we got the UK's debut of the touring production of No Man's Land, starring Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart.
And they filmed Doctor Who there as well. Get out of London.
Yeah, we've got Doctor Who now. What's London got? It ain't got shit right now.
Got nothing.
nobody has. No, when we get back, we got Hamilton. But
Everyone's got Hamilton now, though.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my goodness. We're not going to start any of us off on a Hamilton rant.
Dum, 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 dum.
Dum, dum.
Hey, we cannot afford. We cannot.
I love the way, out of all three of us, it's Joe that's turning around and going, copyright, stop it, stop.
I was really hoping Joe would go into a Mr. Bubbles rap. But
How does a bubbles?
we'll work on it. We'll work on it for next week.
Okay, so hold on to that thought, because our final idea is Sean's foam party in the Herbert Aquatic Centre, full of artistic swimming. What's that actually called? It's not called artistic swimming.
It's called.
Synchronized swimming.
I googled it. Because I couldn't remember what it was called. It's called artistic swimming, but then it's also called synchronized swimming as well.
Oh.
Yeah. I know. I thought there was a fancy name for it, but there really wasn't.
I was just going to say, we do have an easy way of uniting these separate ideas, which is that, Jem,
Yeah.
you pretty much said yours is Drop Dead Fred, but Mr. Bubbles.
Yes.
I said mine was basically our American cousin, but Mr. Bubbles and the Mr. Men.
Yeah.
Sean is basically The Great Gatsby, but Mr. Bubbles.
There's
Or
a
at least,
theme here.
yeah. We've all kind of gone for loose adaptations of different media, but Mr. Bubbles. So really, I think this is an instance where we don't crib anyone's thing. We just work out how we do it as that bold and rare thing, a play with 2 intervals, where it's a trio of plays around Mr. Bubbles in different other media.
I'm gonna pitch the counter that the smorgasbord is because you've got the historic element, Sean's got the dancing element, and I've got the weird sidekick element. So it's Hamilton but with Mr. Bubbles.
I've got more than the dancing. I've got like an Olympic-sized swimming pool and diving boards and literal foam.
I do like that. I really, really like that.
I've got levels in my show without having to use scaffolding. I've got 10 metres. I've got 30 metres. I've got 50 metres.
How deep is that pool? Oh, it's a diving pool, isn't it?
It's a diving pool, isn't it?
Okay. I was just thinking, wow, 10 metres at the shallow end? Man, we
No,
haven't
they're the
even
diving boards. They're the level.
Oh, the diving boards.
The
I was
diving
thinking
boards.
the depth of the pool.
You don't have like a 30-metre pool. You don't.
Yeah, that's why I was a little bit shocked. I was thinking, wow, you're digging to the centre of the earth just to swim.
They wanna in the Olympics. They want it to be as shallow as possible, don't they? That's why the one at
so that they can kill as many Olympians as possible.
No,
if
the
you're
one-
not good enough to miss the bottom, you're not an Olympian.
No, I'm on about like the swimming one now. The one in Tokyo. This because when you're googling to try and find stuff, the one in Tokyo actually like moves up for the races, so you can go quicker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Knowledge.
Ah,
We're learning so much today.
we are. You're full of fun facts.
You know what?
today,
We're
Sean.
learning, but we're also laughing.
I
God.
think Oh, I'm going to move swiftly past that. I think how we smush these ideas together.
Go on, Jem, give it a go.
I love Sean's setting, so we're going to keep Sean's setting.
Yeah, man. It seemed like a nice place.
Pardon?
It looked like a nice place from the pictures.
I love it. And
That's what I'm going to do now. I've hit a theme. I'm just going to find random places across America that people should visit.
I think it's the story that Joe's pitched. Because I like the idea of something set with something we know quite well and it being disruptive. So I like that Mr. Bubbles... So maybe it's the Mr. Men have all gone out to this bubble party and the synchronized swimming. And Mr. Bubbles is there to wreak American havoc as the American cousin. But then we have the audience interaction that we get with Drop Dead Fred. So whether it's a case of Mr. Bubbles is the only one who's aware of the audience, or all of the other Mr. Men are aware of the audience, and not the other way around. That idea of kind of playing mischief, but set in Sean's setting and using Joe's storyline. How do we think about that?
I think it's got potential. It's got legs.
And then plus, if you make the costumes really big, they might float. So that'd be easier to do stuff.
We can make it out of the pool noodles, the little foamy noodles that you get.
Is that what they're called?
So then they float.
They're called pool noodles.
They're called pool noodles.
They're called pool noodles.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pool noodles.
Well, I'm a good swimmer. I didn't need them.
They were just fun.
All right.
And you build rafts with them. I spent way too much time in a swimming pool as a kid.
I took swimming very seriously. I didn't do none of this fun. No. I got my 100 metre badge and then my 200 metre badge. I took it serious.
My brother took it serious because he enjoyed it that much, whereas I had to leave swimming lessons and go to dance lessons because I was just like, cool, I got it. I can do breaststroke. I'm done. I cannot die in a pool. Now let's have some fun.
The second you disrespect the water,
the water disrespects
people die.
You.
Did you not learn anything from episode 4, Gemma? The water is evil.
The water is evil. Why do you think I know that so well? It's because I never thought it as a child. I had to learn the hard way, Sean.
I don't know where we are in the podcast anymore.
I'm like the good student that I always have been. I know exactly where we are. So we've come up with roughly how we'd smash it in together, but we've got our categories that we have to fill out, which I haven't pre-written down because chaos. But they are the story. So we're gonna go with Joe's story. Are we happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So Joe's story of it's our American cousin, but featuring the Mr. Men. So Mr. Bubbles, the American cousin of our Mr. Men, is going to go and disrupt the Mr. Men way of life and their day out and having a jolly at the Herbert Aquatic Centre. So the
hang on. Did I say Herbert?
Yeah.
Hubert.
Oh, Hubert. Hubert.
Sorry.
I've just highlighted a U there. Yeah. Okay, so the style of the show, because we've got fringe theatre, we've got kids theatre, and we've got artistic swimming.
Yeah.
So what's the style?
It's
of
like
the show and the performance?
like circus performers,
yes.
But in the water.
Yeah.
Like doing stunts, doing flips.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Mr. Tiggle doing weird stuff with his arms.
Made out of noodle material.
Made out of noodle material?
Noodle material?
Isn't it just like a foam?
No, it's noodle material. That's an official term now. Okay, so story, style. What is the set?
It's a swimming pool with foam.
I think
there isn't a set. It's H2O.
You know what? I'm moving my suggestion of the Litchfield Garrick Theatre to it takes place at Windley Swimming Baths in Sutton Coldfield.
Like it.
No, I have found a place. And it has an audience capacity. And apparently on the Wikipedia, they can add an extra, 100 for special events.
Don't
We're
put down
special
Winley. They
events.
had seating enough for at least a good 50 to 100 in for when people would have the swimming races there.
We could start in Sutton Coldfield and work our way up to our international tour, which will culminate at the Hubert Aquatic Centre in North Dakota.
Plus, there's a reasonably solid cafe.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay. I didn't know they had sausage rolls.
Did I mention the vending machine has citrus polos?
Oh, citrus polos. That does break the... Yeah, there you go. It's the citrus polos. So, the staging. As in...
It's a swimming
I'm
pool.
imagining it's end on, basically.
No.
No, it is, because that's like the established...
It's on both sides.
It's on both sides.
Yes.
Ooh.
Have you never seen, the Olympics when they have, the seats on...
Every Olympic swimming pool is different. And they never really focus on the audience. They're focusing on the swimmers.
Yeah, but you see the crowd. You can see the crowd behind them when they're, getting ready to go. On both sides. That's how they get 1,000 people into this place. They're on both sides.
Okay, so we're just going to say swimming... It's the staging that is provided by the swimming situated by the set. Now,
You know the one
cast.
you know the one in London for the London Olympics? I was doing my research because I was like where should I put it? that had a capacity of 17,000.
Wow.
And it's only got a capacity of 2,000 now because it was all temporary. That's crazy.
Where is that? I should know.
The Olympic Park, Gemma.
Where is that?
It's North London, ain't it? It's near the West Ham ground.
What? That's round the corner from me.
Is it Stratford Park or something? I don't know. I don't know, Gemma. Maybe you should look out the window and tell us. It's just round the corner.
That's how small London is. You can look out your window and see anything you want. I am near Camden. Okay, so
all right, Gemma. Go look out your window and what do you see?
Trees and a train track.
Oh, have you got rid of your pool?
It went green.
Oh.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Gem's pool.
Well, we can't do the show in Gemma's back garden.
No. Well, we could re-erect it.
No,
we'd have
Gem.
a capacity of however much the government's allowing near people's backyards now.
Oh, well, it could be anything then, isn't it? How many can I get into my bubble?
Which brings us full circle to Mr. Bubble. Why did none of us make a bubble pun and a COVID-related show?
Because we don't reference the outside world in this podcast. How many times have I said it?
How many cast? What's the cast like in our smorgasbord of a show?
I don't know. How many Mr. Men are there? How many Mr. Men and Little Misses? Is it Little Misses? And then we add one for Mr. Bubble.
Okay, so exactly the amount of the Mr.
We have
Mrs.
every single Mr. Man in it, so we don't miss anyone out because we don't want someone to be a big fan of Mr. Bump. And we don't have Mr. Bump. We don't want to disappoint.
Yeah, there's nothing sadder, as told to us by Quentin Tarantino and various other filmmakers, than a kid crying near a swimming pool.
Sean, you do realise there are 72 characters in total in the Mr. Men universe?
It's a big pool.
And if we're doing flips and stuff, they can do that on the side, so long as we don't get it wet.
Yeah.
Essentially, the argument here is just... we can get away with it as long as we get sponsorship from Mr. Bubble.
Yeah.
And Mr. Men.
Plus,
as long as we get that Hargreaves money.
And if, we do it where, I said we could, in that place with 1,000 people capacity, we could sell tickets at a good rate and, make the money back. But no, we could do it in Sheffield for 50 people or in North Dakota for 1,300 people. It's up to you. It's up to you guys. Just saying.
I mean, I'm just saying my backyard is free.
Yeah, and we get that for free.
Yeah. I'll give it... Well, I might charge you some rent.
Well, you're. Oh,
Okay, any other needs? So we need the rights to Mr. Man and Mr. Bubble. And the rights to use names. We need lots and lots of. Are you imagining bubble
Water.
bath? Water should
Yeah,
be provided
bubbles.
by the venue.
bubbles.
But is it bubble bath or is it washing up liquid foams?
I don't know what the difference is. I
One's pleasant
haven't
on
used
the skin and one isn't.
I haven't used bubble bath in like almost 2 decades. Over
What?
2 decades. Yeah, Gemma. I don't
I'm
have.
gonna send you some bubble bath. You need to engage your childhood spirit. You need to have some fun and feel joy again, Sean.
I don't have baths. I have a shower.
I've always wanted to use bubble bath in the shower to see how far up I can get the bubbles. Can I just make a cube of bubbles?
So Joe, what's the Wikipedia article next week?
Well, while I look that up, before we do our standard spiel, I thought you'd like to know, Jem, that in reference to your earlier request of this being a Hamilton-style musical, I've written the first 2 verses of the opening number for it.
Oh my goodness.
I was thinking, what are you doing? And of course.
Yeah, I was watching him kind of going, Joe's up to something.
Yeah, he was concentrating. That's why I was worried.
Hey, in your best slightly off-brand version of it, could I get that opening few notes of Alexander Hamilton, please, you two?
Remember to get it slightly off so that any algorithms don't
Yeah.
remove this whole podcast.
Yeah. I think the original one's in a D minor. Aim for a kind of E flat.
That's going to mean anything to Sean and I.
Exactly. That's the good thing. If I tell you both don't try and aim for the same key, we're going to get something. But yeah, you two. 1, 2, 3, 4. How does a bubble, anthropomorphism, pink and yellow creation of a North Dakotan in 1961 go on to get the gold seal, a real solid fella, grow up to be a mega bestseller? Going harder than founding fathers, creating lather was a lot doper, like a slick soaper, not a no-hoper, not a ramble. But by 14, he was outselling both Procter and Gamble.
Oh my goodness.
And that's as much as I've got so far.
Well done.
Unless you want me to just carry on and do Thomas Jefferson's bit. But if you enjoyed that, or if
next
you
week.
want to give us some lines for some further verses of the Mr. Bubbleman musical, then please find us on the socials. OFITD, wherever you're looking. OFITD Arts, if you can't find it there. OFITD Productions, if not. It's one of the 3. But Sean, where can they find you?
You nailed that.
You did.
Yeah. You're on it. You're killing it towards the end. Okay, so you can find me on Instagram, on Twitter maybe, at StillShawneeB, and it will be full of pictures of Jordan Henderson lifting the Premier League title. I can guarantee you it will just be 10 pictures of that.
It's gonna be really awkward if they don't win.
Already have, Gemma.
Okay.
Already have.
And Jem, where can we find you if people don't want pictures of Jordan Henderson?
If you want really weird artsy photograph pictures, you can find my Instagram at OFITD_gem. Or if you just want some random news about some random vlogs and stuff, find me on Facebook with Gemma Ralston. It's a like page.
How do you spell Ralston?
ROWLSTON.
Oh.
And if you want to find me and find out whatever I do, it's on Twitter at NotJoeRanchka. That's NOTJOERACZKA. Now,
Best bit of the podcast.
I'm just going to pull back the curtain a second here, and I think there's a lot of people at home who might think, no, they don't do these, like they plan these ahead of time. I want you to watch Jem and Sean here when they see what I'm about to tell them, because you will see from their reactions how unplanned this is.
Oh, no.
You may have noticed.
No. Okay.
You may have noticed that occasionally I've tried to enforce the usage to avoid other copyright issues of online encyclopedia articles.
You ain't just got like Wikipedia, have you?
This week's article. Wikipedia is an online free encyclopedia project that aims to create a world in which everyone can freely share the sum of all knowledge.
You got Wikipedia on Wikipedia.
We have crossed the Rubicon, everybody. We have Googled Google. We have got the Wikipedia page for Wikipedia.
Where is Leonardo DiCaprio, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Tom Hardy? Where are they?
I don't get that reference.
Inception.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one, Jem.
Yeah, thanks.
But yeah, our Wikipedia article for next week is Wikipedia : about.
Ooh. Did you hit the wrong button? Did you hit the about button and not the
What's
not the
above
button?
the random button? Is it just like homepage?
I swear, I know that the about Wikipedia button is just below it, but I've got on my screen here, it doesn't have the blued out, or like, you know, kind of it goes a slightly different colour. The random article was Wikipedia.
Wow, Wikipedia is tooting its own horn.
The odds are remarkably low for this, but my God.
You should go out right now and go get a lottery ticket or something. Because I'm liking your odds, Joe. You're a lucky boy.
Yeah.
So join us next week to find out how we adapt the Wikipedia article of Wikipedia.
Before we go,
by Wikipedia.
Before we go,
Uh-huh.
the worst person in that seminar, right? I'm bringing it full circle. I'm not going to say names. But Joe,
we're going to have to bleep this.
In the first lecture of university, you'll remember this, Gemma. We all got given a piece of paper, just a blank piece of paper, and like I think it might have. I can't remember who it was, but it was like, draw what you think theatre is. Yeah,
I remember this.
You remember this? So I was like, all right, sound. So because I was like a stage, like very focused on like sets and that. I draw a nice stage, draw a set, really cool set, and I think I drew like the ghosts from Pac-Man, because I just thought, let's just draw a panto. So we get to the seminar, and we're all going round like, oh, what did you draw? What do you think theatre is?
I remember what I drew.
And it weren't that bad, Gemma. I can't remember, but it weren't that bad. I remembered it, and so like everyone's going around saying, "Oh, I drew this because I like Shakespeare." Blah 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 blah. And I done mine. I was like, you know, standard. The guy after me, right, gets his paper and he's like, "I didn't draw anything because I believe theatre can be anything at all."
I remember this.
Yeah. Theatre students are sometimes up their arse so much.
Theatre people can sometimes be quite
And that was the one time
affected.
Gemma was probably sitting in the seminar thinking, "Phew, he's a bit much." And that's our podcast.